Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome. So, first of all, I would like to thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here tonight. Well, whether you are joining us from Malaysia, Singapore, or anywhere else in the world, I'm truly grateful that you have chosen to spend the next 90 minutes with me. Well, tonight's topics is some things that affect almost every one of us. And yet very few people know how to deal with it. Right? Tonight's topic is called Escape the Overthinking Trap. So let me ask you a simple questions before we start. Yeah. Have you ever found yourself lying in bed at night, physically exhausted, but your mind just refused to switch off? Or maybe you are replaying conversation that happened earlier of today, yeah, or earlier of the day. Or maybe you are worrying about your finances, your career, your children, your health, or wondering whether you're making the right decision. So the more you think, the more anxious you become. And the more anxious you become, the harder it is to stop thinking, right? It's like your mind is running in circles, right? So if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. Why? Because today we live in one of the most connected society in history, yet many people have never felt more mentally overwhelmed. Okay. We consume endless information every day. We compare ourselves with others on social media. We feel the pressure to succeed, pressure to provide for our family, pressure to always have everything under control. Eventually, our mind needs never get a chance to rest. The truth is this, overthinking isn't just a habit. Yeah, it slowly steals your energy, it affects your sleep, it affects your relationship, it affects your confidence. And of course, it affects your health as well. And without realizing it, it begins to affect every decision you make. So tonight, I want to show you a completely different perspective, not just from psychology, not just from positive thinking, but from an ancient Chinese wisdom that has helped people for centuries understanding the relationship between energy, emotion, timing, and the human mind. Yeah. So by the end of tonight's webinar, you will discover why overthinkings happen, why trying to think positively isn't good enough, and how can you begin creating a genuine inner peace using the principle of QiMen, right? My goal tonight isn't simply to give you more information, it's to help you leave this webinar feeling at least lighter, clearer, and with practical tools that you can immediately apply in your life. So I encourage you to stay with me until the end because I'll also be sharing how you can continue this journey if you are ready to create lasting inner peace. Right. So guys, are you ready? If you are, let's begin. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I prepared some slide, of course. Right. So before I begin, let me briefly introduce myself so you know who you are, who's speaking to you tonight. Again, my name is Boey. I'm a speaker, consultant, Feng Shui practitioner, and instructor specializing in Chinese metaphysics, including Feng Shui, BaZi, and QiMen. So over the years, I've been privileged to work with individual, business owner, and organization from different industry, helping them make better decision. And by understanding the relationship between timing, environment, and human potential. I've also been invited to conduct talks and trainings for organizations such as Standard Chartered Bank, yeah, HSBC, Maybank, as well as some property developers, include Sime Darby Properties, UEM Sunrise, Spacer Property, CapitaLand, Asset Kayamas, Kuala Lumpur Golf and Country Club, and many, many others. Okay. Well, through my consultation and training, I have met thousands of people all from all walk of life. Some are business owner, some are professional, some are retirees, some appear very successful from the outside, but regardless of their background, I've noticed something interesting. Yeah. Almost everyone is facing one common challenge. It is not the lack of intelligence. It is not the lack of opportunities. It is not even a lack of hard work. The biggest struggle today is having a mind that never seems to rest. And people are constantly worried about the future. They overanalyze every decision. They replay the past. They carry stress they don't even know how to release, right? And because of that, they lose clarity, confidence, and the ability to enjoy the present moment. That's why, over the years, my work has evolved beyond helping people improve their home or businesses. Today, one of my greatest passion is helping people understand how ancient Chinese wisdom can also help us cultivate emotional balance, mental clarity, and inner peace. Because when your inner world changes, the way you experience your outer world changes as well. So tonight I want to share with you a perspective that most people have never heard before. We are going to explore how QiMen is not the only system for strategy and timing, but also a practical framework for calming the mind, reducing overthinking, and creating a lasting inner peace. Yeah. Well, very important is why this topic matter. Okay, before we talk about how to escape overthinking, let's first understand why is this topic so important. Right? Because today we live in a one of the most advanced period in human history. Technology has made life more convenient. We can communicate with anyone instantly, anywhere around the world. We have more information than ever before. Yet, despite all this advancement, something very important is happening. People are becoming mentally exhausted. According to the World Health Organization, anxiety, sleep disorder, and burnout have become some of the fastest growing mental health challenge worldwide. And the worrying part is this. Many people don't even realize they are trapped in it. Yeah, let's look at these three areas. Firstly, anxiety. Many people woke up already feeling worried. They worry about work, they worry about money, they worry about their children's future, they worry about making the wrong decision. Even when nothing bad has happened, the minds keep imagining worst case scenario. Eventually, worrying becomes a daily habit. Yeah, some of you are like that. Yeah, you don't have to tell me, but yeah, you have to accept it yourself, like, whether you are worrying about are you in anxiety mode or not. Well, second, poor sleep. All right. Have you ever experienced this? Your body is tired, you switch off the light, you close your eyes, but your brain keep talking. You replay conversation, you think about tomorrow's meeting, you remember mistake from years ago, you keep planning, analyzing, worrying, and your body is lying in bed, but your mind is still working overtime. Third, burnout. Burnout simply isn't simply being tired. It's waking up feeling exhausted even after a full night's sleep. It's losing motivation. It's feeling emotionally drained. Sometimes you don't even know why you're so tired. You just know that you are running on empty. And here's something very interesting. Many people believe these are separate problems: anxiety, poor sleep, burnout. But in reality, they are often symptoms of the same root cause. A mind that never gets the opportunity to rest. And when your mind never rests, the body follows. the emotion follows. Eventually, your relationship, your work performance, and even your physical health begin to suffer. This is why today's topic matters. Because overthinking isn't just about thinking too much. It is about slowly losing your peace of mind. And when you lose your inner peace, everything else in life becomes much more difficult. So the real question isn't why am I overthinking? The better question is this: what is causing my mind to never switch off? And that's exactly what we are going to discover next. Now, yeah, I'd like to ask you a few simple questions. I don't want you to answer me in the chat. Okay, no need. Just answer honestly to yourself. Okay, because tonight isn't about impressing anyone. It's about understanding where you are today. How many of these describe you? Okay. Have you ever found yourself thinking about the same problem over and over again, even though you know worrying won't change the outcome? Yeah. You just have to answer yourself. You don't have to tell me in the chat. Okay. Well, how about, do you often imagine the worst case scenario? Thinking, what if this goes wrong? Or what if something bad happens, even before anything actually happened? Or have you ever replayed a conversation in your mind, wondering if you say the wrong thing or wishing you had responded differently? Or do you feel physically exhausted at the end of the day? But the moment your head touches a pillow, your mind suddenly becomes active. Your body wants to sleep, but your brains refuse to stop thinking. Or have you ever feel guilty for taking a break? Even when you're resting, you feel like you should do something productive. So instead of relaxing, you end up worrying about everything that's still unfinished. And finally, do you have sometimes struggle to make decision? Yeah. Not because you don't know the options, but because you keep analyzing every possibility until you become stuck. All right. You worried about making the wrong choice, so you delay making any choices at all. If you noted yes to even two or three of these questions, you are not alone. Yeah. In fact, almost every person I met during my consultation has experienced some form of this. The problem isn't that you are weak. The problem isn't that you are incapable. And it's certainly not because you are thinking too much by choice. You are simply become trapped in a pattern of overthinking. Right? The good news is this: any pattern that is learned can also be changed. And tonight, I'm going to show you why this happened, and more importantly, how you can begin to break free from it. Right? Okay. Many people think overthinking is harmless. They tell themselves, I'm just being careful. I'm just planning ahead. I'm just trying to avoid making mistake. But overthinking comes with a hidden price, huh? A price that most people don't notice until it has already affected every part of their life. First, is steal your peace. Have you ever noticed that even during holiday, your mind is still busy? You are sitting with your family, but your thoughts are somewhere else. Instead of enjoying the moment, you are thinking about tomorrow, next week, or the next problem that hasn't even happened yet. Yeah. Your body is present, but your mind is absent. That's not living, that's surviving. Secondly, is still your happiness. Happiness isn't only about having more money or achieving bigger goal. It is about being able to enjoy what you already have. But when your mind is constantly searching for problems, Even good moments don't feel good enough. Yeah, you finish one challenge only to immediately worry about the next one. The finish line keep on moving, right? And third, it affect your relationship. When your mind is overwhelmed, you become less patient, right? You become easily irritated. And sometimes you are physically with the people you love, but you are mentally somewhere else. And over time, the people around you don't just notice your stress, they begin to feel it too. Right? Next, it causes you to miss opportunities. Yeah. Overthinking creates hesitation. You analyze every possibility. You wait for the perfect moment. You keep asking yourself, what if I fail? While you are still thinking, someone else has already taken action. And sometimes the greatest opportunity isn't lost because you make the wrong decision. It's lost because you never make a decision at all. And finally, it affects your health as well. Yeah. Our mind and body are deeply connected. When the mind is under constant stress, your body never truly relaxes. Sleep becomes lighter, energy becomes lower, your immune system weakens, and over time, the body begins to carry a burden of what the mind refused to let go. So you see, overthinking is never just about thinking too much. It's quietly steal your peace, your happiness, your relationship, your opportunity, and eventually your health. The saddest part is this. Many people become so used to living this way that they believe it's normal. But let me tell you this. Living with a busy mind is common, but it is not normal. Yeah. You were never meant to live in a constant state of worry. You were created to experience clarity, balance, inner peace. The question is, if overthinking is causing all these problems, why do we keep doing it? Yeah. Let's uncover the real reason, huh? Yeah. Why do we overthink? So why do you think we overthink? Most people believe it's because we have too many problems. I have financial pressure. I have family responsibility. I have a stressful job. I have too many decisions to make. But that's not the real reason. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever met someone who has very few problems, yet still worries constantly? Yeah. And have you also met people facing enormous challenges, yet they remain calm, composed, and optimistic? The difference isn't the number of problems they have. The difference is how their mind related to uncertainty. Yeah. Human minds naturally wants three things. First, it wants certainty. We want to know that everything will be okay, right? We want to guarantee that our business will succeed, okay? That our children will be safe, right? That our health will remain good, right? That our relationship will last. But the truth is this, life doesn't come with guarantees, huh? And secondly, the mind wants control. Okay. We want a life to go according to our plans. We want people to behave the way we expect. We want every decision to produce the outcome we hope for. But how much of life can you truly control? Can we control the economy? Can we control what other people think about it? Can we control unexpected events? The answer is very little. And third, the minds want certainty about the future. That's why we keep analyzing, planning, replaying conversation, imagine different outcomes. We believe that if we think long enough, we'll eventually find a perfect answer. But here's the irony, the more we try to control what cannot be controlled, the more anxious we become. And the more anxious we become, the more we overthink. And the more we overthink, the less clarity we have. It's like trying to calm a muddy water by stirring it harder. The harder you try, the cloudier it becomes. Yeah. Real peace doesn't come from controlling everything around us. It comes from learning how to remain calm even when life is uncertain. And this is where ancient wisdom offer a perspective that modern life often overlook. Because QiMen doesn't only teach us how to control every situation. It teaches us how to align ourselves with the right timing and the right energy so that instead of fighting life, we learn to move with it. And when that happens, the mind naturally becomes quieter. Right. Okay, so how many of you have heard of this phrase called manifestation? Yeah, type a yes in the chat if you have heard this word manifestation. Yeah, I just want to know, huh? Okay, good. Some of you has heard about it. Well, today, manifestation has become one of the most talked about topic in personal development. If you watch YouTube, read self-help books, or follow motivational speakers, you have probably heard a voice like this. Think positively. Visualize your goal. Yeah. Write down your intention. Repeat affirmation every morning. And don't get me wrong, I believe this practice can be helpful. Having a positive mindset is certainly better than having a negative one. Agree? Yeah. But let me ask you a question. If manifestation were only about thinking positively, why do so many people still struggle out there? Yeah. Why do some people faithfully repeat affirmation every day, visualize their dream life, create a vision board, yet they still feel stuck? Yeah. Have you ever wondered that? The truth is this: manifestation is not just about what you think, it's about the energy behind your thoughts. Yeah? Think of it this way. Imagine two people saying exactly the same affirmation. One person say, I'm confident, I attract success. But deep inside, they are filled with fear, self-doubt, anxiety, and emotional tension. Then the other person say the same words, but in their mind is calm. Their heart is at peace. Their energy is aligned. Who do you think will create a different result? The words are the same, the intention is the same, but the energy is completely different. That's because energy amplify intention, right? Your thoughts set the direction, but your energy determine how powerful that intention is expressed. This is the part that many manifestation techniques overlook. They focus on changing your thoughts, but they rarely teach you how to transform your inner energy. And if your energy is still filled with fear, worry, and overthinking, your mind may be saying, I believe, but your energy is broadcasting, I'm afraid. And that's an internal conflict. Right? This is where Chiman Dunja offer a completely different perspective. Yeah, it teaches us that successful manifestation isn't simply about positive thinking. It's about bringing your mind, your energy, and the timing of your action into alignment. When those three are aligned, your manifestation becomes far more natural. So the next question is this: what kind of energy block manifestation in the first place? Yeah, let's explore that. Okay. Yeah, why manifestation fail? So let me give you a simple example. Imagine you have the best seat in the world. is healthy, is full of potential. It has everything it needs to become a beautiful tree. But instead of planting it in a rich, fertile soil, you plant it in a dry, cracked ground. So what happens? Nothing. The problem isn't the seed. The problem is the environment. Now think about your goal and dreams. Your intention is the seed. Your thoughts are the direction. But your inner energy is the soil. If the soil is dry, the seeds struggle to grow. The same things happen with manifestation. Yeah. If your mind is constantly filled with fear, like what if I fail? Right? Anxiety, what if something goes wrong? Doubt, am I really good enough? Stress, I have too much to do. Overthinking, maybe I should wait. Maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe I need to think a little bit more. All of these emotions create inner conflicts. And your conscious mind is saying, I want success. But your subconscious mind is saying, I don't feel safe. And when these two messages don't match, your energy becomes scattered. It's like driving a car with one foot pressing on the accelerator and then the other foot is pressing on the brake. You're using a lot of effort, but you're not moving far enough. And that's why so many people feel frustrated. They read books, they attend seminars, they have written affirmation, they visualize their goal, yet they still feel stuck. Not because they lack of desire, but because their energy is working against them. And this is why before we try to attract more success, more wealth, or better opportunities, we must first create the right inner environment. When your mind becomes calm, when fears begins to dissolve, when your energy becomes balanced, manifestation doesn't feel forced anymore. It becomes a natural expression of who you are. And this is where Chinese, ancient Chinese wisdom offers something truly unique. Rather than forcing life to happen, it teaches us how to align with the natural flow of energy so that our action, our intention, and our timing work together, right? That is the missing piece that many people have never taught, right? Okay. So what is this ancient Chinese wisdom? Okay. So if positive thinking alone isn't enough, how do we create the right energy? Okay. To answer that question, we have to go back thousands of years ago. The ancient Chinese were keen observer of nature. They have noticed that life wasn't random. There were patterns. There are cycles. An invisible force that influence the outcome of human action. All right. After centuries of observation, they discover a simple but powerful principle. Our life are constantly influenced by three forces. The first is this heaven timing. All right. Timing is everything. Have you noticed that sometimes you work very hard, but nothing seems to happen? Right. While at other times, the right opportunity appears almost effortlessly. The action may be the same. The difference is the timing. So ancient master understood that every moment carry a different quality of energy. When you align with the right timing, your effort becomes effective, right? So sometimes being patient is good. The second is this, earth energy. This refers to the environment around us, our home, our workplace, the direction we face, the space we spend time in. Just as a plant grows better in a fertile soil than a rocky ground, of course, people also perform better when they are supported by a favorable environment. Yeah. So this is the foundation of Feng Shui. Okay. And of course, the third is human action. Okay. Timing alone won't guarantee success. A good environment alone won't guarantee success either. We still need to take action. We need to make decisions. We need to respond wisely to opportunities. In other words, success comes from aligning the right action at the right time in the right environment. Yeah. This understanding becomes the foundation of one of the most sophisticated strategy systems in Chinese metaphysics, QiMen Dunjia. Right. Many people think that QiMen Dunjia is only used to predict the future. In reality, it's much more than that. Yeah. It's a system that helps us understand the quality of energy in a particular moment so that we can make better decisions, align our action, and create better outcomes. And here's why this matters in our topic tonight. If overthinking is caused by constantly fighting uncertainty, then Chiman Dunjia teaches us how to stop fighting life and start moving in harmony with it. When we work with the flow of energy instead of against it, our mind naturally becomes calmer, our decision becomes clearer, and our action becomes more confident. And that's why Chiman Dunjia is not just a forecasting system. It's also a system for creating greater clarity, alignment, and inner peace. Yeah. So some of you might be asking, what is Chiman Dunjia? So what exactly is Chiman Dunjia? Yeah. Many people have heard the name before, but they often associate it with fortune telling or predicting the future. While Chiman Dunjia can certainly be used for forecasting, that is only one part of what it does. In ancient China, Chimen Dunjia was known as the emperor's strategic art. It wasn't created for entertainment or superstitious. It was used by military strategists, advisor, and leader to answer important questions, such as, is this the right time to act? What's the best strategy in this situation? Which direction will produce the best outcome? In other words, Chimen Dunjia was designed to help people make better decisions, not simply predict what would happen. Today, we apply the same principles in a modern context. Instead of preparing for battles or war, we use it to navigate the battles of everyday life. For example, where's the best time to start a business? Where should I have an important discussion? How do I position myself to seize opportunities? How can I make decisions with greater clarity instead of reacting emotionally? But what fascinates me most is this, Chiman Dunja isn't only about what's happening around us. It is also about what is happening within us. Because our thoughts, our emotions, our decisions are all influenced by the quality of energy we are experiencing. When we understand that energy, we can learn to walk with it and instead of fighting against it. That's why Chiman Dunja teaches us four important things. Number one, how to align with the right timing. Instead of forcing things to happen, we learn when to move and when to wait. Yeah. Second, how to use energy correctly. Yeah. Every moment carries a different energetic quality. By understanding it, we can choose actions that are supported rather than resistant. And third, how to make a better decision. When your mind is calm and aligned, you stop reacting out of fear and begin responding with clarity and confidence. Right? And finally, how to influence our emotion and mindset. This is the part that many people don't know. Right? Because Chiman Dunja isn't only about changing external circumstances, it also helps us cultivate the internal states, that we need to face life with greater calm, resilience, and wisdom. And that's exactly why it's so relevant to our topic tonight. Because if overthinking is a battle within the mind, then before we can change our result, we first need to change our inner state. And QiMen Dunja provides a practical framework for doing exactly that. Right? All right. Let's talk about the missing pieces of mental wellness. Today, not today, I mean nowadays, if someone is struggling with stress, anxiety, or overthinking, yeah, one of the first recommendation is often to seek psychological support or learn technique to manage their thoughts. Right? Not? Yeah. And I believe this approach are available. Okay. Modern psychology has helped millions of people understand how their thoughts influence their emotion and behavior. It teaches us to recognize negative thinking patterns, to challenge limiting belief, and to develop healthier way of responding to life challenge. These are all important skills. But from the perspective of QiMen, there's another question we should ask. Yeah. What is influencing those thoughts in the first place? Yeah. How many of you have asked this question before? Ask yourself this question before. Very few, very rare, right? This is where QiMen introduced a different perspective. Modern psychology focus primarily on your mind. QiMen also look at the energy behind the mind. Think of it like this. Imagine you are listening to your favorite radio station. If the signal is clear, the music sounds beautiful. But if the signal is full of interference, the music becomes distorted. The song hasn't changed. The radio hasn't changed. The problem is the signal. Yeah. Our mind works in a similar way. When our energy is balanced and harmonious, our thoughts become clear. We become more patient, more focused, more emotionally stable. But when our energy becomes chaotic, fear grows more easily, anxiety becomes louder, small problems begin to feel overwhelmed, and our mind start creating endless story about what might happen. Right? This is why some people genuinely try to calm themselves. They practice meditation, they repeated affirmation, they tell themselves to stay positive, yet after a short while, the anxiety returns. Not because they are doing something wrong, but because the underlying energy that is feeding those thoughts hasn't changed. Right? QiMen teaches us that we only try to change our thought without addressing the internal energy. We are treating the symptom, but not the source. When the energy change, the quality of your thoughts begin to change naturally. A calmer energy creates a calmer mind. A clearer energy creates a clearer decision. And that's why in the next part of this webinar, I'm going to show you how QiMen Nunja help us understand the energetic patterns that influence our emotion. And more importantly, how we can work with them instead of being controlled by them. Yeah. Yeah. Why some people can't stop overthinking? Well, have you ever noticed something interesting? Right? There are days when we feel calm, confidence, optimistic. You make decision quicker, right? You don't worry too much. Everything seems to flow naturally. But on other days, the smallest issue suddenly feel like a huge problem. You doubted yourself. You become emotional. You keep changing your mind. You analyze every possibility, and somehow you still can't decide. Yeah. Have you experienced that before? From the perspective of QiMen, this isn't just random. Every moments carry a different quality of energy. And certain energy naturally make your mind more vulnerable to particular emotional states. Some energy makes us more fearful. We become overly cautious and imagine problems that hasn't even happened yet. Some energy create doubts. Even when we are capable, we question ourselves and lose confidence. Some energy makes us more emotional. Some disappointments feel much bigger than they really are. Some makes us indecisive. We keep searching for the perfect answer, afraid of making the wrong choices, and other makes us overly analytical. We want to gather more information. We need to think a little bit longer. We wait a little bit more until we become stuck. Now, does this mean we are powerless? No, of course not. Yeah. QiMen doesn't say that the energy controls us. It only teaches us that the energy influences us, just like the weather. You can't control whether it rains. But if you know it's going to rain, you just bring an umbrella. Likewise, when you understand the energy you are experiencing, you stop blaming yourself. Instead of saying, why am I so weak? You begin asking yourself these questions. What is influencing my state of mind today? And how can I work with it wisely? That shift is incredibly empowering. Because once you understand the influence of energy, you stop fighting yourself. You stop judging yourself. And you begin working with the natural flow of energy instead of against it. Yeah. So this is one of the greatest gifts of Chimamanda. It gives us awareness, and awareness gives us choice. When we recognize the energy we are in, we can respond with greater clarity rather than simply reacting out of fear or habit. Right. All right. Okay. So if overthinking comes from fighting uncertainty, and if our energy influence the quality of our thoughts, then what's the solution? Yeah, what's the solution? The answer is this: alignment. So in Chinese metaphysics, there's a saying, when heaven, earth, and human are aligned, things begin to flow more naturally. Think of it like sailing a boat. If the wind is against you, you can still move forward, but it takes you tremendous effort, right? You became exhausted. Progress is slow. Now imagine raising your sail when the wind is moving in the same direction. You are still steering the boat. You are still making decision. You are still taking action. But suddenly, the journey becomes smoother. That's what alignment feels like. Right? It's not about having a life without problems. It's about working with the natural flow of energy instead of constantly fighting against it. When your timing, your energy, and your action comes into alignment, the first thing that changes is your mind. Yeah. You begin to think more clearly. Instead of reacting emotionally, you can see the situation more objectively. Your thoughts become quieter and your judgment becomes sharper. And second, you start making better decisions. Not because someone is making them for you, but because you no longer clouded by fear, panic, or endless analysis. Third, you naturally become calmer. The external world may still be busy, but internally, you no longer feel overwhelmed by every challenges that comes your way. Yeah. And fourth, you often notice that opportunities seems to flow more easily. Not because the universe suddenly gives you special treatment, but because your mind is clear. You notice opportunities that fear and anxiety previously caused you to overlook. And when you act with clarity and confidence, people respond differently to you. Yeah. And finally, you experience something that many people spend their whole life searching, inner peace. Not because your life has become perfect, not because your inner world has become stable, right? You stop trying to control everything. You stop fearing every uncertainty, and you begin to trust yourself to handle whatever life brings. That's to me, is the true power of alignment, right? It's not about escaping life challenges. It's about becoming the person who can face those challenges with clarity, confidence, and peace. And that's exactly what I want to help you achieve, right? So you might be wondering, how did I come to understand all this? The truth is this, I didn't learn it from book alone. I learned it through one of the most difficult period in my life. Yeah. So allow me some time to share my life journey with you guys, okay? Yeah. I need to drink a water. Well, I've shared with you the what QiMen is, how it explain every overthinking and why alignments matter. But the truth is this, I didn't discover this principle because I was looking for a new career. I discovered them because I reached one of the lowest point in my life. Yeah. I was trained as an engineer. Well, like many people, I believe that if I study hard, I work hard, and I did everything right, life would naturally work out. I believe that hard work will solve almost every problem. Okay. When life tested that belief, within a period of about 6 months, everything changed. I was retrenched from my job. At the same time, my son was born. All right. What should have been one of the happiest moments in my life, become mixed with fear and uncertainty. Without a stable income, I keep asking myself, how am I going to support my family? Right? The financial pressure create tremendous stress at home. My marriage becomes strained, and there were moments when I honestly thought it might be over. Okay, luckily it survived. Then, while I was still trying to hold everything together, my father passed away. Yeah. It felt thought as one challenge arrived before I had recovered. Yeah, before I even had time to recover from the previous one. However, looking back today, I can honestly say I wasn't just facing external problem. I was losing my inner peace. My mind never stopped. Every day I ask myself, why is this happening to me? What should I do next? What if I make the wrong decision? I analyzed every possibility. I worried constantly. And the more I thought, the more overwhelmed I become. And that's when I realized something very important. You cannot think your way out of every problem. And sometimes the mind itself becomes the problem. That difficult season of my life led me to search for answers. And beyond what I learned as an engineer, it was during that search that I discovered Chinese metaphysics. And of course, eventually QiMen. So at first, I thought it was simply a system for forecasting. But the deeper I study it, the more I realized that it was teaching me something much more valuable. Yeah. It taught me how to stop fighting every uncertainty, how to align myself with the right timing, how to quit the constant noises in my mind, and most importantly, how to regain the inner peace that I had lost. Did all my problems disappear overnight? No. Life still has challenges, but I changed. My thinking become clearer. My emotion become steadier. I start making better decisions instead of reacting out of fear. And as I change, my life began to change as well. That's why I'm here today. Not just to teach you an ancient Chinese system, but to share something that has personally transformed my own life. Yeah. Because I truly believe if it helped me find clarity during one of the darkest period of my life, it can also help you navigate whatever challenges you are facing today. Right. The real problem, what is the real problem? When I look back at that period of my life, I realized something that completely changed the way I see life. At that time, my thought, I thought my biggest problem was losing my job, financial pressure, family responsibility, and the loss of my father. Yeah. I believe that if I could solve those problems, then I would finally find peace. But I was wrong. Because even after one problem was resolved, another one would appear. Isn't that what life is like, right? When your career improves, you start worrying about your health. When your health is good, you worry about your children. When your family is doing well, you worry about your finances. It seems there's always something waiting for us. Yeah. Then I ask myself, if life will always have challenges, does that mean I never experience peace? The answer is no. Yeah. The real problem isn't that life is difficult. Yeah. Life has always been uncertain. No one can predict every challenges. No one can control everything that happen. The real problem is that most of us never thought how to remain peaceful while facing uncertainty. Yeah, we were taught how to study, right? We were taught how to build a career. We were taught how to earn money. But very few of us are taught how to manage our mind, how to let go of fear, how to stop overthinking, how to remain calm when life doesn't go according to plan. That's why many people spend their entire life chasing the next achievement, thinking, once I earn more money, I'll be peaceful. Once I retire, I'll be peaceful. Once my children grow up, I'll finally relax. But peace keep moving further away. Because peace isn't something we find after life become perfect. Peace is something we cultivate while life is still imperfect. Yeah. And when you develop the inner peace, something remarkable happens. Your problems don't always become smaller, but you become stronger. Yeah? You stop reacting to every challenges. You begin responding with clarity. You make wiser decisions. You sleep better. You enjoy the present moment again. And that is the transformation I experienced. And that is exactly why I created a program. And I'm going to share with you later tonight. Because I believe inner peace is not something you are born with. It is a skill that anyone can learn and cultivate. Yeah. So what exactly is inner peace? Many people misunderstood this word. They think inner peace means having no problem, no stress, no difficult people to deal with, no financial pressure, no uncertainty. But if that's the definition, then very few of us will ever experience it. Right? Because life will always have challenges. There will always be changes, unexpected events, disappointment, and uncertainty. So inner peace is not about living a perfect life. It's about developing the ability to remain centered even when life isn't perfect. Inner peace means you can still remain calm even when life doesn't go according to your plan. Instead of immediately reacting to with fear or panic, you pause, you breathe, and you respond with clarity. So inner peace also means you stop fighting reality. Yeah. Many of our emotional struggle don't come from situation itself. They come from wishing reality were different. You keep saying to ourselves, this shouldn't have happened. Why me? Life isn't fair, right? The more we resist what has already happened, the more we suffer. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It simply means acknowledging reality so that we can respond wisely instead of wasting energy fighting what we cannot change. Yeah. Inner peace also means you stop trying to control everything. Not every outcome is within our control. Not every person will think the way we want them to think. Not every situation will unfold according to our plan. The more tightly we try to control life, the more exhausted we become. Right? And finally, inner peace means learning to flow with life instead of constantly struggling against it. Think about a river. The water doesn't fight every rock it encounters. It just flows around it. It adapts, yet it never loses its direction. In the same way, inner peace doesn't make you passive. It makes you adaptable. It gives you the strength to face uncertainty without losing yourself. And this is what QiMen teaches. Yeah. Not how to eliminate every challenges, but how to align ourselves with the flow of life so that we move through challenges with greater wisdom, resilience, and calm. Because when your mind is peaceful, you don't just make better decisions, you live a better life. Right. Well, let me share you a story that beautifully explains what inner peace really means. Many years ago, of course, we are talking about the reign of Emperor Qianlong from the Qing Dynasty, right? How many of you know Emperor Qianlong? Yeah, type of one if you know who am I talking about. So Emperor Qianlong was renowned as for his wisdom. Yeah. So once the Imperial Court of China, they organized a painting competition to search for a talented artist to serve the palace. Yeah. So artists from all over China were invited to participate. After several rounds of the competitions, only three finalists remained. They were invited to the Imperial Palace to paint before the emperor and all of his court officials, right? And the theme of the competition was very simple. The theme is this inner peace. Yeah. The first artist painted a breathtaking landscape, a still lake, gentle mountain, blue sky, right? Not a single ripples on the water. Everyone who looked at the painting immediately felt calm and relaxed. The second artist, he painted a warm family gathered around a dining table. Parents smiling, children laughing, three generations enjoying a meal together. Everyone who saw the painting couldn't help but smile. Yeah. It reminded them of love, happiness, and togetherness. Then came the third artist. His painting shocked everyone. Yeah. Instead of peace, he painted a violent storm. Dark clouds fill the sky, rain pouring down, strong wind bends the trees. Then a tree clung desperately at the edge of a steep cliff. Yeah. The entire scene felt chaotic. The official looked at one another confused. How could this presence represent inner peace? Yeah. When the judging was over, many officials believed the winner would be either the peaceful landscape or the happy family. However, Emperor Qianlong surprised everyone. He stood up and announced, The winner is the third painting. Yeah. The official were all stunned. What? What happened? Why? Then they respectfully asked, Your Majesty, why? Yeah. While the emperor, Chenlong, he walked towards the painting and pointed to something that most people had completely overlooked. On one of the branches of the tree, hanging over the cliff, was a small bird nest. Inside the nest, a mother bird was calmly feeding her baby birds. The storm was raging all around them. The wind was fierce. The rain was heavy. Yet, inside the nest, there was no panic, only peace. Okay? Then, Emperor Qianlong said, yeah, inner peace is not found because the world around you is peaceful. Inner peace is the ability to remain peaceful even when the world around you is in chaos. And that lesson has stayed with me ever since. Because many of us are waiting for the storm to end before we allow ourselves to feel peaceful. We tell ourselves, once my business improves, then I'll relax. Once my children grows up, then I'll stop worrying. Once I have enough money, then I'll finally have peace. But life doesn't work that way. There will always be another storm, another challenges, another uncertainty. Yeah. So the goal isn't to wait for life without storm. The goal is to become like the mother bird, to remain calm, to remain centered, even when life around us becomes turbulence. That is true inner peace. Right? And that is exactly what I hope every one of you will begin cultivating. Not just tonight, but for the rest of your life. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the three enemies of the inner peace. Enemy number one. Yeah. The first enemy for inner peace is fear of the future. Have you noticed that our mind spends so much time worrying about what might happen than dealing with what actually happening? Yeah. We ask ourselves, what if I lose my job? What if my business doesn't survive? What if my investment goes down? What if I become sick? What if I make the wrong decision? The interesting thing is this. Most of this fear may never actually happen. Yet our mind experiences the stress as thought they are already real. All right. Someone once said, we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. I believe that's true. Fear causes us to live in a future that doesn't exist. Instead of enjoying today, we sacrifice today's peace because of tomorrow uncertainty. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't plan for the future. Planning is wisdom. But worrying is different. Planning prepare you. Worrying exhausts you. Right? One of the greatest lessons I learned from QiMen is this. You don't need to know every answer about the future to live peacefully today. You only need the wisdom to make the best decision you can at this moment. When you trust your preparation, trust your ability, trust the timing, fear gradually loses its power. Yeah. So, if the first enemy is fear of the future, the second enemy is something almost all of us struggle with. Right? Let me show you. Yeah. The second enemy of inner peace is our attachment to control. Yeah. So let's be honest. Most of us like certainty, right? We like knowing exactly what's going to happen. We make plans, we set goals, we create schedule. There's nothing wrong with planning, huh? The problem begins when we believe life must follow my plan. Have you ever noticed how frustrated we become when people don't behave the way we expect? Yeah. When traffic delay us, when our children don't listen, when our colleague disappoint us, when businesses doesn't grow according to our timeline, the suffering often doesn't come from the situation itself. It comes from our resistance to reality. Yeah. We keep thinking, this shouldn't be happening. But life doesn't ask for your permission before it changes. Huh? One of the most liberating lessons I learned is this. There is a difference between having a plan and being attached to the plan. Uh, it's perfectly okay to have goal. It's perfectly okay to work hard. But we must also learn to adapt when life takes a different path. Think of a bamboo during a storm. The bamboo bends, it doesn't resist the wind. Because it bends, it survives. People who insist on controlling everything often become mentally exhausted. So people who learn to adapt become resilient. Okay. So QiMen teaches us to work with timing, not against it. Sometimes the wisest action isn't to force progress. Sometimes it's to adjust, realign, and move forward at the right moment. That flexibility is a form of inner peace. Yeah. Okay, so we talk about fear, we talk about control, but perhaps the greatest enemy of all is the one that follows us everywhere. What is it? Yeah. The third enemy of inner peace is constant mental noises. Have you ever noticed that even when you are sitting quietly, your mind isn't? You are driving, but your mind is replaying yesterday. You are having dinner with your family, but your thoughts are already worrying about tomorrow's. You lie down to sleep, your body is tired, but suddenly your minds become active. It's like having a radio that never switch off. One thought leads to another. One worry creates another worry. One problems remind you of three more problems. Before long, your mind has traveled everywhere except the present moment. This constant mental noise slowly drains your energy. Yeah? It steals your sleep, it steals your focus, it steals your ability to appreciate life. And the saddest part is this. Many people have lived this way for so long that they think it's normal. But it isn't. Your mind was never designed to be running 24 hours a day. It also needs moments of stillness, moment of silence, moment of peace. And this is why cultivating inner peace isn't a luxury. It is a necessity. Because when the mind becomes quiet, you begin to hear your own wisdom. You make better decisions. You become more patient. You become more present. And you begin enjoying life again. That is why throughout this webinar, I've been saying that the goal isn't to remove every problems in your life. The goal is to remove the chaos from your mind. Because when your mind is peaceful, everything else becomes much more easy to handle. Right? Right. So we have identified the three biggest enemy of inner peace. Yeah. Fear of future, attachment to control, constant mental noises. So the next question is this: how do we overcome them? Yeah. Fortunately, there's a simple framework that has guided me for years. I call it the Serenity formulas. And it consists of three practical principles that anyone can begin applying immediately. Yeah. Right. So what is the Serenity formula? Okay. Okay. How do we begin creating inner peace? Yeah. After so many years of studying QiMen, Feng Shui, and personal development, I realized that inner peace doesn't come from learning hundreds of techniques. It comes from practicing a few timeless principles consistently. Yeah. And as a result, this is what you get: a blessed soul, a calm mind, a peaceful heart, and a healthy body. Okay. Yeah. So I personally call this the Serenity formula. Yeah. So this is very important. Please, I need your attention, or write it down if you need to. Right? Write it down if you need to. The first principle is this: accept what you cannot control. Right? Write it down. Accept what you cannot control. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean agreeing with what happened. It simply means recognizing reality. You cannot change yesterday. You cannot control others people's choices. You cannot control every situation life throw at you. The more you fight reality, the more you suffer. But the moment you accept what it is, your mind becomes free to focus on what is truly matter. Yeah. Okay. First principle: accept what you cannot control. Okay. Now, the second principle: act wisely on what you can control. Okay. Sometimes, I'll repeat again. Act wisely on what you can control. Yeah. Sometimes people misunderstand this acceptance as doing nothing. That's not true. You may not control the economy, but you can improve your skill. You may not control what others say about you, but you can control how you respond. You may not control every opportunities, but you can prepare yourself to recognize and seize the right one. Peace doesn't come from doing nothing. Peace comes from doing the right thing without unnecessary emotional struggle. Yeah. And finally, write down: trust the process. Yeah. I repeat, trust the process. This is probably the hardest lesson. We live in a world that wants instant result, instant success, instant healing, instant happiness. But nature doesn't work that way. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. Every meaningful transformation takes time. QiMen teaches us that timing matters. There are seasons to plant, season to grow, and season to harvest. Your responsibility is to keep showing up, keep learning, keep taking the right action. Then allow life to unfold in its own timing. When you practice these three principles: acceptance, wise action, and trust, you will discover something amazing. Life may not become easier overnight, but you become calmer, stronger, and wiser. Right. Right. So once we cultivated inner peace, the next question becomes, how do we turn our intention into reality? Yeah. That's where Chiman Dunja gives us a practical formula for manifestation. Right. Let me share with you. The Chiman manifestation formula. Many people believe that manifestation begins with positive thinking. Right. Chiman agrees that intention is important, but intention alone is never enough. Yeah, think of manifestation like preparing a successful harvest. First, you need a clear intention. If you don't know where you are going, no methods can help you get there. And second, you need correct timing. Even the best farmer cannot harvest at the wrong season. Plant too early, nothing grows. Plant too late, opportunity is lost. So timings matter. Third, you need energy alignment. Yeah. This is the part most people overlook. You can have a wonderful goal, but if your mind is full of fear, doubt, stress, and overthinking, your energy and your intention are moving in the opposite direction. Your mind say, I want success, but your energy say, I'm afraid. Okay. That conflict weaken your manifestation. And finally, you need action. Yeah. QiMen has never taught people to sit at home and wait for miracles. Huh? Ancient strategists uses QiMen to decide when and how to act, not whether to act or not. Okay. When these four elements come together, clear intention, right timing, aligned energy, and decisive action, that's when opportunity begin to appear more naturally. But if even one component is missing, your result become limited. And that's why tonight isn't about manifestation. It's about becoming the kind of person who is internally aligned before you take action. Yeah. So imagine if you could live your life from that place of alignment every day, what would become possible? Right. So I'd like you to do something for just a moment. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Take a slow, deep breath. Yeah. And imagine what your life would look like if your mind was no longer your biggest obstacle. Imagine going to bed at night and falling asleep peacefully. No endless thinking, no replaying conversation, no worrying about tomorrow, just deep, restful sleep. Imagine waking up in the morning, feeling emotionally steady instead of anxious, facing challenges with confidence instead of fear. Imagine making important decisions without constantly second guessing yourself, without spending weeks trapped in your analysis. Yeah. Imagine become more patient with your family, more present with your children, more focused at work because your mind is no longer overwhelmed. Yeah. Imagine walking through life knowing that whatever happens, you have the ability to remain calm, centered, and clear. Right. Now ask yourself these few questions. How different would your relationship become? How different would your health become? How different would your career become? And more importantly, how different would you become? That is the true power of inner peace. It isn't simply about feeling relaxed. It's about transforming the way you experience every part of your life. And that's exactly why I created the program I'm about to introduce to you. Yeah. Because I believe everyone deserves the opportunity to experience this kind of transformation. All right. Well, tonight we spend the last almost 90 minutes talking about something that affects almost everyone. Overthinking, mental exhaustion, constant worry, the inability to switch off your mind. The question is, what happened after tonight? Yeah. Because information alone doesn't transform our life. Transformations comes from practice, through guidance, through applying what we've learned consistently. And that's exactly why I created this program called Serenity, the Way of Qi. This isn't another metaphysics courses. This isn't about learning complicated formulas or memorizing charts. This program was created with one purpose, to help you cultivate a calmer mind, a peaceful heart, and a healthier life. Because I truly believe your greatest success in life isn't how much you accumulate, it's how peacefully you are able to live. Yeah. I remember someone told me that life isn't about having more houses, more cars, more wife. No, just joking. Don't have more wife. Yeah. More money. No, life is not about having more. Life is about having less, less problem, less worry, less fear, less stress, right? And less illness. Okay. Yeah. I think that is something that opened up my life, my mind. Okay. I met many people who appear successful. They have good careers, a beautiful home, a loving family, financially stable. Yet they still sit down in front of me, exhausted. Their biggest struggle isn't money, it's their own mind. Maybe you have achieved many things too in your life, and yet your mind never stops. You constantly thinking, planning, worrying, comparing, trying to keep everyone happy. And one day you wake up and ask yourself, I worked so hard, why don't I feel peaceful? If that's where you are today, please know you are not alone. And more importantly, there is another way. Yeah. Why now? Many people believe when I achieve one more goal, then I finally feel peaceful. But let me ask you something. How many goals have you already achieved? And after achieving them, did your mind finally become quiet? Or did it immediately move on to the next problem? That's because peace doesn't come from achievement. Peace comes from alignment. When your destiny, your environment, and your action begin working together, life doesn't become perfect, but it becomes much lighter. That's what this program is designed to help you experience. Yeah. And why is this program different? There are many courses that teaching BaZi, many courses teaching QiMen, many courses teaching Feng Shui, but very few teach one simple questions. How can all this ancient system help me become a more peaceful human being? And that's exactly what this program is about. We are not learning metaphysics just to know more. We are learning it so we can understand ourselves, manage our emotion, make wiser decisions, and create a peaceful environment, and ultimately live a happier life. All right. Okay. I also want this program to be very practical. That's why I include two bonus workshops. The first one is called The Art of Letting Go. Because many people know they should let go, but nobody teaches them how. We work through practical exercise to release the emotional burdens, practice forgiveness, and create a daily emotional reset. Yeah. So the second bonus is find your life freedom. One of the biggest reasons why people burn out is because they manage their life by the clock instead of by their energy. So in this section, I'll show you how to recognize your natural rhythm, manage your energy more effectively, and build rest and recovery into your life intentionally. These are all practical tools you can begin using immediately. Yeah. Right. The question is this: who is this for? Yeah. I've designed this course for people who are no longer chasing success alone. They are now searching for deeper, maybe that's you. You have built a career, supported your family, worked incredibly hard, but somewhere along the way, you forgot how to feel peaceful. Or perhaps you already studied BaZi, QiMen, or Feng Shui, but now you're asking, how do I apply this system to improve my own life? If that's your questions, this course was created for you. Yeah. Right. So this is everything that you're going to receive. 6 complete learning module for the course, 2 bonus bookshop, replay access, and a practical framework you can continue using long after the course end. The regular investment for this program is USD 1588. But because this is a pre-launch webinar, you won't pay that. Tonight only, you can join for USD 497. That's almost like 70% of the regular investment. But here what I'd like you to think about. The question isn't, is USD 497 expensive? The better question is this, what has overthinking already cost me? How many nights of poor sleep? How many missed opportunities? How many arguments? How much stress? How much joy? Compared to that, this isn't expensive at all. Yeah, it's an investment in the quality of the rest of your life. Okay. Let's keep this short. I shared my story earlier tonight. So my mission is very simple. To help more people experience what I discovered. That inner peace isn't something reserved for monks or the nun. It isn't something reserved for people without problem. It is something anyone can cultivate with the right guidance and consistent practice. All right. So as we come to the end of tonight's webinar, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Life will always have storm. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be challenges. We cannot control that, but we can choose who we become while living through this storm. And tonight, you have 2 choices. First, close your computer, return to your usual routine, and hope that one day, somehow, you will feel different. Or choose to invest in yourself. Learn a practical system, cultivate a peaceful mind, and become the kind of person who remain calm even when life becomes chaotic. Yeah. Remember the story of the mother bird in the storm? The storm didn't stop, but the birds remained peaceful. That is what Serenity, the way of Qi, is really about. Right. Well, as we come to the end of tonight, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Many people spend their entire life chasing wealth. They believe if I make a little more money, if I build a bigger business, if I buy a bigger house, if I achieve one more goal, then I'll finally be happy. Then I'll finally have peace. But after working with thousands of people over the years, I realized something. The greatest wealth is not money. The greatest wealth is peace of mind. Because when your mind is peaceful, you think better. You no longer allow fear and overthinking to cloud your judgment. When your mind is peaceful, you perform better. Whether you are leading a business, caring for a family, or making important decisions, you will show up as the best version of yourself. When your mind is peaceful, you attract better opportunities. Not because of magic, but because a calm mind sees possibility that an anxious mind overlook. Yeah? People trust you more. You communicate with greater confidence. You make wiser decisions. And opportunities naturally begin to open. And perhaps most importantly, when your mind is peaceful, you enjoy life again. You enjoy the conversation with your family. You enjoy watching your children grow. You enjoy waking up each morning. You enjoy the present moment instead of constantly worry about the next one. Yeah. And at the end of our life, very few people will say, I wish I have attended one more meeting. I wish I have made a little bit more money. But many people will quietly wish this. I wish I have less worry. I wish I had been more present. I wish I had enjoyed my life more. That is why I created Serenity, the way of Qi. Not simply to teach Chinese metaphysics, but to help people reclaim something they unknowingly lost. A calm mind, a peaceful heart, and a meaningful life. If tonight's webinar has spoken to you, if you realize that you've been living with too much mental noises, too much fear, too much emotional exhaustion, then I warmly invite you to join me. Let's spend 2 days together, not just learning, but transforming. Because the life you are searching for doesn't begin when the world around you changes. It begins the moment the world within you become peaceful. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and I truly hope to welcome you into the Serenity, the way of Qi. All right. So you can scan this QR code or type www.joyyap.com/serenity for registration. Okay. Yeah. So since this is a pre-launch and you guys are the early bird, right? So you get this very good price. Yeah. And the 2 bonuses, right? Thank you very much, and I welcome you to Serenity, the way of Qi.
I want to stop. We can't.